Welcome to Thursday, January 5th, 2023, your Day Weather Podcast, brought to you by Cowboy State Daily, also brought to you by WYDOT. Sign up today for the Wyoming Travel Authorization Program. As we take a look, it's just still, we're going to be a broken record here for a while. The Pacific is going to continue to dominate. There's a while longer here before the current setup changes. So Pacific storms will continue to move across the west. The storms will be significantly weaker by the time they get to the Continental Divide. So basically for the mountains, the Intermountain West, the Rockies, the Front Range, the adjacent plains, we just get what's left. After these storms go into the West Coast, they get beat up and chewed up by the mountain ranges, and we get what's basically just crumbs after these storms dump a lot of their rain along the West Coast. But the mountain ranges and areas west of the Continental Divide will see the best chances for snow in this pattern. And as we work our way through the next 7 to 10 days, this pattern favors average to moderate temperatures, average close to the 30-year averages, maybe a bit above average during the course of the next 7 to 10 days, because this pattern cuts off the Arctic. The Arctic just does not have a chance to visit us with the pattern being so strong from the Pacific. So that's one benefit, is while it really won't be terribly warm, it won't be terribly cold either. The current setup is likely going to go another week and a half before things change. As we take a look at this morning's satellite photo, it's not as pretty as yesterday's, as the storm has reached its peak maturity. But there's just so much moisture, so much jet stream energy and instability coming off the Pacific and into California and the West Coast. It'll just pump in more rain and mountain snows in those areas. And you can see out west here, we have another area of a lot of moisture coming towards the West Coast. Now, this is what it has looked like lately along Interstate 80. This is near Arlington and Elk Mountain yesterday along Interstate 80 yesterday morning. You wondered why Interstate 80 was closed for so long. There were sections of Interstate 80, especially near Rawlins, Wyoming, that received over 2 feet of snow. Then the wind picked up. However, conditions have gotten a little bit better, but if you wanted to know why roads were closed for so long, because it looked just like that. As we take a look at today's 500 millibar chart, we've got a little bit of high pressure over the Rockies, so it's going to be a bit of a break in the weather today. Then you can see the low pressure systems headed towards the West Coast. Now, a piece of that storm is going to come off through the Rockies on Friday. So this will spread some mountain snow into the interior west. The high country will get some snow. Areas west of the divide will see snow showers, and a few snow showers will stretch east out into the plains. Now, if we were to put the 500 millibar chart in motion here over the next 10 days, you can just watch these waves come in from the North Pacific and just continue to move into the West Coast. But notice what will happen is you get some of these systems that can maintain some integrity as they jump the divide, but they don't really become large storm systems, and they move along very, very quickly. Also, look at all the blue up at the higher latitudes. That blue is representing where the colder air is. It's locked up. It's locked up there, and it's also gaining strength. It's getting bigger and the cold air getting deeper. And we're going to have to deal with that later on this month and into the month of February. So while temperatures are moderate across the United States, do not think that by looking at this weather pattern, this is how it's going to go for the rest of the winter. But it's going to be another week and a half of wet weather along the West Coast. And if you look at the jet stream winds, these are the jet stream winds for late Friday and the Saturday. Wow, if you were going to go from Tokyo to San Francisco, you'd get there really quick. San Francisco to Tokyo, hold on, it's going to be a bumpy ride. Those jet stream winds going across the Pacific like that, just driving a lot of moisture. And keep in mind, just think of the distance in miles between Japan and the West Coast, where that jet stream is just roaring along. That is a long fetch of very strong jet stream energy. Now, through Sunday, this is what the precipitation forecast looks like. And you can really see where the snow and the precipitation is going to be held up by the divide. And east of the divide, you're just not going to get much going on. As we take it zoomed in, you can see a little bit closer the gradient, how much moisture is soaked up by the coastal ranges and how much is left after those coastal ranges. Not a lot, but some. And this is what the snowfall forecast looks like through Sunday afternoon. Now, for those of you kind of wondering, is this normal? Is this a situation with all of this storminess hitting the West Coast? Well, keep in mind that as you get into December and January, this is for San Francisco. So December, January, and February is the rainy season in California. So this is the time of year you expect these West Coast storms. Are these stronger or more intense than the last 3 years? Yes, that's why California's been in a drought. They haven't had this type of pattern for the last 3 years in this La Nina. But this is exactly when you expect these storms to batter to the West Coast. It's been a couple of years, really, since they've seen anything like this. And they're going to continue to add to their totals. And if you look at this is the 10-day precipitation forecast. And look at this. We've got areas over a foot of rain, maybe over 20 inches of rain over a 10-day period over northern areas of California. Lesser amounts as you go further east. And if you were to zoom in a little bit closer over the next 15 days, look at all that purple over the Sierra Nevada. And the snowpacks are just amazing. Now, we hope the trend of a good snowpack year continues. What I want you to look at is the dark blue. Dark blue means snowpacks are above 150% of average. And if you take a look at Utah and Nevada, northwest Colorado, southwestern Wyoming, they're all in the dark blue or the lighter shade of blue, which is still a very good snowpack. The entire state of Utah has a snowpack greater than 150% of average. And then you've got 200 to 262% of average in the Sierra Nevada. Look at this northwest Oregon, 533% of average. A far cry from the last couple of years. Why? The warmer North Pacific, as we showed you, and the fact that La Nina is beginning to fade. So this is all boding well to have a good snowpack year. We're certainly going through the first half of the winter season and the snowpack season off to a good start. Hopefully the second half will be at least near average, and that'll end up being a really good year. As we go out further, this is 15 days from now. This is what we're hinting at. Mid to late month, we're going to see a shift where the pattern starts to come in from the northwest again. As once this pattern kind of works its way out, we'll shift back into, by the third week of January, mid to late January, we'll start to see the weather pattern change. Until then, we're going to be kind of a broken record here for a while. But by the middle to the end of the month, you can see the cold coming back to Western North America again, and it's going to want to head south eventually, and it will, later this month and into February. Have yourself a great Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow.